Testing, testing, testing. Is that better? Better this way, better that way. I can undo this well. Test, 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 test. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yay! So just hit if you're ever in studio and it does that, just hit refresh it. Just refresh it. Okay. Thank you for letting me take 4 minutes to troubleshoot some audio. I appreciate each of you for being here. Let me go down the list for those who are here early. I appreciate you. Maritz, thank you. Harjareen, Liliana, Grant, thank you, thank you, thank you. Auntie Mama, Vanessa, good to see you. Sandra, good to see you. Let's see. NYC Gaming, thank you for coming. And let's see, and that's everybody that I see so far. So we're gonna just kind of jump into it. I will try to screen share as much as possible in this, but I don't, I don't want to take away from any. I don't want it to become a distraction. Hey, Cookie, good to see you. And so this is just, again, part of my weekly update. And so in my weekly update, we'll cover a variety of things. This one's going to primarily be my Zepbound journey. I'll kind of go backwards and then forwards a little bit. Oh, I can't, Sandra. Oh, well, see, now I'm going to think about it. See, now you've made me to where I'm going to think about it. It's like, I was like, well, what have I been calling you? And so, so I'm going to go. Zepbound is going to be primary. Also had a friend who is recently is starting wegovy. So if any of you, I don't know if I don't see any of the wegovy people that I know, but should they come in, um, anyway, they're about to start Wegovy, and so they had some questions. So we're going to entertain those questions, which I do ask for those of you who are on a GLP-1, GIP, semaglutide, or tirzepatide. Feel free to share as I share the questions that were asked. Feel free to share your answers so that they can learn, and that they can have some insight into your experience. Hi, Enchanted. Good to see you. Um, and so, and then we'll do a minor chicken update, which I kind of updated already in my post earlier today. And in the gardening front, nothing too exciting is happening there right now. We might do some stuff this weekend. So this is going to be a very targeted live where we're going to primarily talk about my Zepbound journey. Hi, Jonas, salve. And we're going to primarily talk about the weight loss and Zepbound journey, and also answer some questions that was asked of me. So I appreciate each of you being here. I know I have to kind of do a shout out to some of my fellow Fortnite folks that are in the room and just get because today was a new. Y'all have to help me out. It was a new. It's not series. Is it series? I have no idea. I'm learning. Y'all will correct me. So a lot of Marvel stuff is in there. So it's kind of season. Season. Thank you, Enchanted. So it's a new season. There's a lot of Marvel stuff in there. So it's really really fun. Um, uh, Maybe there'll be a Gambit. I doubt it. I'll get a chance to get a Gambit skin, but yeah. So did get a couple of games in today, and have been getting some in. So it's been pretty fun. So I appreciate y'all stepping out of that world and coming into this one, and hopefully y'all will there'll be some good information shared. So with that, when I last left y'all last week, I did have I shared with you that from week 34 to week 35, there was a gain of 3.4 pounds. So I did gain 3.4 pounds, and I did share with y'all in those 3.4 pounds. Hey, Big Stepper, Big Stepper. I couldn't hear you this morning, so I don't know if you got my message in when you invited me to your party. I couldn't hear, so I apologize for that happening. Hopefully, we can reconnect and everything, and try to get a game in. So I did. So I'm glad you stepped in because I wanted to make sure. I did. I just couldn't. I couldn't. I had my headset on, but I just couldn't hear you. Anyway, so but good to see you and thank you for coming in. But so yeah, 3.4 gain from week 34 to week 35. So I went from 207 back to about 210, something like that. And I shared with you why, right? Ultimately, I shared with you why. I had not been getting my water intake in, which, if you want a good water schedule, like how much water to drink throughout the day or how to get your water in, you want to connect with DeBossway. She, Margarine, if you want to throw your channel down here. By the way, if you want to share your channel, do hashtag cats. So if you type in hashtag cats, that will allow you to share your channel out. So if you want to get a good water intake schedule about it, if you struggle getting your water in, Margarine has a really good schedule that she shares on her channel. So make sure to connect with her. So between week 34 and week 35, I was not getting the good amount of proper water in. I went on this crazy 3-day bend of having ramen noodle soup for like 3 days. There's nothing wrong with ramen noodle. Hi, Teddy. There's nothing wrong with ramen noodle, but hold on, no more. No hashtag chickens. Yeah, it still works, Liliana. But nothing wrong with ramen noodle, but I probably shouldn't have it 3 days in a row, considering all the sodium involved and considering I wasn't drinking all my water. And probably the most significant thing I wasn't doing between week 34 and week 35 is I was staying up till like 2:30 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, waking up at 4:30, getting ready for work. So you essentially had a very salty, dehydrated, tired Calamity Jane running around the streets between week 34 and week 35 of her Zepbound journey. Yeah, I'm not. It should be. Oh, did I say cat? Oh my gosh, chickens. Hashtag chickens. I'm so sorry. It's not. I don't know why I said cats. It's my mind is gone. It's hashtag chickens. I thought I said chickens. I apologize. It's hashtag chickens. Sorry. I'm confused. I'm literally confused. It's hashtag chickens. I don't know whose channel I'm on. How about that? I'm on so many channels. I don't know whose channel I'm on. Joe will get a kick out of this. Joe will love this. That I use her hashtag. This is awesome. So hashtag chickens. Chickens plural. Hashtag chickens. I apologize for that. Yeah, hashtag chickens. So station break. Whoop, reset. Okay. So yeah. So back to week 34, week 35. Thank you, Liliana. You're a better host than I am, right? So between week 34, like I said, you had a very salty, dehydrated, tired Calamity Jane and Hey Okies. And so, yeah, I gained. You're going to gain when you don't do some best practices in there. So big announcement, and big announcement. So what I did during that time is I made some readjustments. I sort of kind of got my act together. Oh, and no activity. I also wasn't doing any activity. I wasn't walking. I wasn't doing my Zumba, etc. Wasn't doing any strength training. Wasn't doing any of those things. So in between, so what did I do? So I just reset. Wednesday morning or sometime around, because I think I shared with y'all on Thursday of last week. So that Wednesday, when I was like, okay, you know what you're supposed to be doing, so excuse me, start doing it. So I started getting my water intake in like I was supposed to do. I brought back my strength training, brought back my Zumba. I limited the amount of salt I was having in my day-to-day meals, and then I went to bed. I was going to bed on time. I was still waking up. I still wake up at 4:30 no matter what. Sometimes I wake up at 3:30. If I go to bed at 10, I'm going to wake up any time between 3:30 and 4 is when I'm going to wake up. So, but I went to bed on time, and all those things happen between week 35 and week 36. I reset myself, started getting my water in, reduced the amount of salt I was having, started getting my activity in, started drinking my water, and when I weighed in Wednesday of this week, I am now at 203. So, so that is what I weighed in on Wednesday. So that is a loss that basically reset me. It got me back to the 207 and then some. So basically, one of the things I want to share with, and it's not, I didn't do any fasting. I showed you pictures of what we ate in the last couple of weeks. We had spaghetti, we had pork chops and veggies. Last week, what did we have last week? Oh, last week we had, I think like a pasta. I did like a pasta dish with ground turkey and stuff like that. So I still had pasta. I still had carbs. But I did have protein and all. And we'll get into more of what I eat in a day and things like that. But the most significant thing that happened is that I got my sleep again. So sleep is so important. Anybody on a weight loss journey, sleep is probably the number one thing you can do for yourself, is trying to find ways to get your sleep in. If you struggle with that, whether it's sleep apnea or the different things, and some of the people in here can share more about sleep for Zepbound, you can get approved for Zepbound if you do have sleep apnea. So something to consider if that's something you struggle with. So it is so important we get our sleep in. It's so important we get our water in. It's so important we get our activity in. And so it's when you have those gains, because you will have, on a weight loss journey, you will have gains, you will have plateaus, you will have losses. You will have 0.2 losses, you will have, 2-pound losses. You will have 0.1 gains, you will have 0.5 gains or 5-point gain. I mean, you're going to have, because it's an average. It's an average over time. You're going to have these things occur. You just have to take account into, it's like, what's going on around me, what's going on in my environment, right? What are some things that I can do, and just basically at the end of the day, you just push forward, right? You just push forward. I would caution you of trying to do any sort of unusual things to lose it, because it's going to catch up with you. Anything, when you stop working out, it's going to catch up with you. When you don't drink your water, it's going to catch up with you. When you eat a lot of salt, it's going to catch up with you. All that stuff is going to catch up with you. So more than likely, I was just sort of inflamed, with all that salt in my body. And so it just, it wasn't really there. So that's the big news of this week. I'm back on track. I will share. Well, let me kind of move forward. Any questions about that? Any questions? Just, hey, Saint, good to see you. Any questions just about the changes in weeks? Any thoughts, concerns? Um, I'm having a good day. It's been a busy day, but it's been a good day. I had my well woman's exam and all that good stuff. So I had all that fun stuff happening today. So, but things are good for the most part. But any questions, any thoughts? Hey, Fairbricks, good to see you. Any thoughts about just sort of the weeks, all the things that happened? Any questions for me? And I'll wait for it because I know there's like a couple of seconds delay, so I'll wait a little bit. And again, it's #chickens if you want to share your channel out. Hi, William. Good to see you. I know there's a lot of legends here. I'm pretty I'm kind of excited. I'm more than kind of excited. It's really amazing to see who's all in the chat. Any questions on just the GLP, the ride, the up down, all that good stuff? Okay, so if there aren't any questions, we'll get to sort of the questions that I had from a friend regarding, and I would ask those of you on a GLP-1 or GIP, I would ask that y'all would share. Well, I messed it up earlier. Liliana had to correct me because Liliana is apparently my assistant. So you didn't know you had that job. You have the responsibility of being my my producer over here. So we'll get to the questions from the friend about, because a good friend she is starting on a GLP-1. She is starting on wegovy, which is a semi-glutide, which I can talk a little bit about because I didn't put a time limit on today's live, so I don't want it to go over 60 minutes, but it's going to be more than 30. I will tell you that. So let's first talk about the different GLP-1s that are out there. I'm going to primarily talk about semaglutide, and that's the clinical name for it, if you will, and tirzepatide. So semaglutide on brand is, and again, friends, correct all my GLP-1ers out there. I know y'all were at the top, but hopefully y'all will get in here and kind of correct me where I need to be corrected. Semaglutide is the brand names for those two are Ozempic and Wegovy. It's the same class. It's the same drug or medication. It's just one is for Ozempic is for type 2 diabetics, and Wegovy is for the weight loss side of it. It's a branding thing. Hi Brad, hi Nikki, Miss Nikki, and so it's just these companies have to make more than money than any of us are going to see in our lifetime collectively, so they sell it two different ways. As a treatment, because it was originally created for treatment for type 2 diabetes. That's what it's FDA approved for. There has since been new conditions that it's been FDA approved for, and depending on who's all in the chat, you're welcome to add those to the chat. That was originally for, but a side effect, as though it was a treatment for type 2 diabetics, a side effect because of how these medications work in the body, is weight loss, and so they did branded it as weight loss. So that's semaglutide. So that's Ozempic for type 2 diabetics and Wegovy for weight loss. That's semaglutide. Then there is a class of drugs that has a GIP and a GLP-1, and I'll get you these names here. Let me do this because it's going to drive me nuts that I'm saying acronyms. What does GLP-1 and GIP stand for? Let me get you these, and I'll put it in the chat so that you have this information. Stand by. So, and then we'll talk about this a little bit. Okay. So basically, GIP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide, and GIP stands for glucose-dependent insulin trophic polypeptide. And I'll talk about what that is in a second. Hold on. There is someone messaged back. Okay, so for those, just real quick, I did just get this is station announcement for friends in the room. Michelle at Michelle's Mirror, she did text back. She's doing okay, and she thanks everyone for checking in. So I know a couple of us were curious about Michelle at Michelle's Mirror, but she says she is doing okay, and she thanks us for checking in. Hi Evelyn. And hi, Positive T. Good to see you. So ultimately, tirzepatide, that's the medication name or the drug type name, and then the brand names for those are Mounjaro for type 2 diabetics, and then Zepbound, which is for weight loss. Again, there's always going to be the drug, the reason it was made, type 2 diabetes, and then because there's this side effect of weight loss, and we all want to lose weight. Well, not all of us, some of us don't, and that's okay. So the companies Eli Lilly and Novo, they branded it as both types so they can make more money, right? It's all about the dollar. So what do these medications do? And so because there's a broad audience here, I think it's important to talk about what these medications do. There, for a long time, the assumption was, because again, we have to remember these medications were treating type 2 diabetics. It was helping because these are peptides. So let me back up. I've got to back up. This is going to become, if at any point this gets to be too much medical information, everybody put a virtual stop sign in the chat. If it becomes too much, I can reel it back. So if it becomes too much on the medical side, just put a stop sign and I'll stop. Okay. So I used to call it, when I teach, I say throw a virtual rock at me. So you can either throw a rock or throw a stop sign at me. Okay. Whew. Okay. So why were these medications and why do they help with type 2 diabetes? And then further, how does that translate into weight loss? So again, I put what these things are called. Ultimately, let's talk about type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes is when, depending on a person's metabolic condition or state or their body habitus, their inactivity level, they produce, we all produce, well, we all don't produce insulin. In our bodies, outside of our pancreas, insulin is produced by the pancreas. If you are a type 2 diabetic, due to your body habitus, inactivity, metabolic instability, or dysfunction, that your insulin, that insulin that is being produced by your pancreas is not functioning correctly. So what does insulin do? If you were to imagine a lock and key, I'm looking for an actual lock and key. We all know what a lock and key hopefully looks like. So imagine a lock and key. Your cell is, you have a cell in your body. Nutrients needs to get to that cell. So when you eat and break down food, that food needs to break down. It becomes energy and it goes into your cell, so your cell can thrive and do the things you do. Your cell is the basic building block of your body. So when you have cells, many cells equal organ, and the organ makes up all the things in your body. So your skin is an organ and it has cells. Your brain is an organ and it has cells. All the things in your body are made up of small cells. When you eat and break down food, that energy, whether it's fat, whether it's protein, whether it's carbohydrates, becomes energy and it feeds the cell. High COD, high at sterium. So all that stuff in your cell, all the stuff that's in, you break down your food needs to get into those cells so it can be energy and you can live and you can thrive and you can do all the things. This is why they tell you before a big test, drink some orange juice, eat a good meal, or before you go swim and things like that, to eat a good meal, because your body needs that energy. Your brain needs that energy to do all the things it needs to do to function, right? So how does insulin play a role in this? So in order for that food to get into that cell, there is a lock. Insulin opens up that lock. So when you are a type 2 diabetic, I'm a type 1, and that's a whole nother story. We won't go down that road yet. I want to mainly talk about type 2 since we're talking about these medications. So when your body is producing, or when your body is insulin resistant, it's not able to get into, the insulin is not able to get to that cell, open it up, and therefore all that food can't go anywhere. Your blood sugar, your blood glucose increases. People call it sugar diabetes and all this stuff. Your blood sugar increases, and when your blood sugar increases, and it can't get into that cell, you now have starving cells. And what your body tells you to do, what your body ultimately tells you to do when your cells are starving of the nutrients, is to eat more. So here you are with all this blood sugar getting high and getting acidic and all this thing happening to your body, and all your cells are saying is, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. So you're eating. Okay, so how are we doing? How are we doing on the breakdown of how type 2 diabetes works, why cells are important, why insulin is important? Are we good? We tracking? Did I lose people at the station? Because I can go back and pick people up. Okay. Okay, tracking. Okay. So why do these medications matter? Why do these medications matter? So let me go ahead and I said a few words in that whole explanation. I said glucose, which is sugar. polypeptides. So GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide, GIP, hi Kim K, glucose-dependent insulin-trophic polypeptide. All we need to say, all we need to know of why these medications work, because naturally in our bodies, raise your hand, everyone raise their hand, if you know an individual who maybe eats, and I'm basically describing my spouse, who maybe eats only 2 meals a day, never thinks about food, barely gains any weight. When you ask what they want to eat, they tell you, I don't care. Food is fuel to me. I don't care what I'm eating. They're never craving anything. They're never hungry for everything. They literally are never thinking about food. Like they don't think about food ever, ever. So that's my husband. That's who I get to live with, right? That's Wild Bill. Okay. Yep. I know someone. I know someone is me. Yeah. So those people, their peptides function correctly, meaning they know when to stop eating. They understand two words. Suppression is an important word, and satiety is an important word. So suppression is that not that feeling of of not thinking about food all the time. Suppression of new food noise, and you're not thinking about that, not thinking about eating. You literally just ate a meal, and now you're already thinking about, oh, what do I want to eat 30 minutes later? What do I want to eat 5 minutes later? Right? And then satiety is that feeling of fullness. I've eaten and I'm satisfied. I didn't even finish my plate and I am satisfied. Hey, Ghost. Hey, Naughty Buddy. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're talking GLP-1s and Zepbound and stuff here. We're having a fun talk. And so those are two important things. And so people that are able to just feel satisfied, they've eaten their meal, they've done their thing, and then they just don't ever think about food. They're in their brains, their peptides are naturally working. For the rest of us who have a metabolic dysfunction, and we have Darium in the room, and he can give all these descriptions and stuff like that. For those of us who struggle with what we are finding is that obesity is not for lack of motivation. Obesity is not because someone just wants to stuff their face with something. There are things happening within the body that are either no longer functioning correctly, because these medications, whether it's a semaglutide, whether it's a tirzepatide, is having tremendous impact on our neurological condition of how we think about food, or how our brain functions and thinks about food, and how our physical self processes food and communicates to our brain when we are satisfied, when we need to eat, and all these things, right? So this is what these medications are ultimately solving for, is signaling to the brain and to our body those things that should naturally be functioning in our body. For those whose natural GLPs function correctly, it's your natural GLPs are effective by about 48 hours, things like that. For those of us who are on the medication, it has a what is it, 5 to 7 day shelf half-life or something like that. Again, the experts in the room will correct me on anything I say incorrectly. And so we are basically supplementing our bodies and supporting the natural GLP-1s that naturally exist in our body. And why these contribute to type 2 diabetics, and why it was a solution for type 2 diabetics, is because it allows for the body to become less insulin resistant. When these peptides are functioning correctly in our body, it creates an environment in our body to to ultimately naturally allow insulin. So for those of us who are insulin resistant, it allows for your body to have an environment where that insulin can function correctly. So you have a lot of people in this chat who have had a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, and since being on this medication have been able to and I'm going to use an important word, who has been able to manage, and I'll say remission. It's not a word I like to use at all either. But I want, if people like that word, own that word. I will not say reversal because this is not a reversal. But they have been able to manage their type 2 diabetes in such a way that either they're no longer, they need insulin, they no longer need a pill form to manage their type 2 diabetes. And as they lose weight and gain activity and eat more protein and all the things, right? They've been able to allow their bodies are becoming more insulin sensitive than they were prior to taking the medication. So some of that resistance is staving off. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing stories, and I won't get into the diabetes side of it more than I have because I've taken you down the road of taking down the crazy road of diabetes. I won't go more into it, and so it's been pretty impressive. Like one of these days, I'll share more about the type 1. Okay, so for my GLP-1ers in the room, hey, Traveling T, GLP-1ers in the room, is there anything I need to correct? If so, go ahead and correct me if I need to correct anything. So let's get back to now my friend and her question. So they are on a semaglutide. Okay, again, there's semaglutide, which is Wegovy and Ozempic, and then there is tirzepatide, which is Mounjaro and Zepbound. Y'all, again, many of you have heard this because a lot of celebrities are on these medications. And some of the questions that was asked of me, and I'll put this in the chat. I'll put these questions into the chat so y'all can see the questions. And I would ask for those of you who are on either of these medications, if you don't mind sharing your experience with this as I share mine. I would love for y'all to share and let this be a learning opportunity. Oh, and there is someone. Evelyn, are you still here? Did Evelyn have to leave? No, Evelyn is still there. Okay, Evelyn, if you're still here, because this my friend is she's starting on Wegovy, and so if you could provide any insight from your experience on Wegovy, I would love. And then and I'll make sure that they are connected with you as well. Okay. So the first question is, how did it affect your energy, mood, and daily life? You're seeing it. So I started on Zepbound, which is a tirzepatide, on July 16th. I would say from several years back up until July 15th, I was a tired individual. I turned into, I had turned into my parent. Y'all know the ache and pain. Oh, you're here for driving. Okay. I'll make sure they're connected to you, Evelyn. That sound you make when you get out of bed, when you start praising all the heavens, when you're like trying to get out of bed and your knees you feel your back, you feel your knees, and you're like, oh Lord, help me through the day. Or, oh, what is it we say when we get up and try to move? It's like Jesus or whatever, that sound. I took this on July 16th. On July 17th, pain, inflammation, gone. I can't say that is everyone's experience, right? So I gotta be anything that I say was my experience. I can't speak to that being anyone else's experience. So much so, because my husband still has that knee pain. Like I've said to say, it's like you literally should figure out a way to get on these medications, because yeah, I don't. Again, it has been shown. I don't think again, I need my GLP-1ers to correct me here, because I don't think it's been approved for inflammation yet. Because inflammation is kind of weird because it's a symptom, not so much. I mean, it's usually a symptom of other diseases, not a disease in and of itself. So I don't know if the FDA has approved it for it yet. I think it's happening in the background, but pain gone. Like I was struggling prior to the months of that. I was struggling to get up out of bed to do my Zumba, because like I said, I like working out in the morning, and I was struggling. Like I was literally saying, okay, apparently I just need to change my Zumba to the afternoons because I cannot get up, get my workouts in, da 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 da. Again, July 17th, after my first day taking this, not only did I get up, I threw my workout outfit on. I did an hour worth of Zumba that next day. That's how much energy I had. Hi, she is Tamika. I'm on Wegovy, but Evelyn may answer question one because I have chronic conditions that affect my energy and mood. Right. So, but Miss Nikki, but that is good information to share, because if you have other things going on, it can and will impact the some of the positive benefits of that. So Miss Nikki, I appreciate you sharing that. So yeah, you do feel it helped your inflammation. So good. So thank you for that feedback. And she is Tamika. She did Wegovy for a little bit, not as much, and we'll get into some of the side effects of Wegovy and both medications. So we'll get into that too. So that was so again. Let me go back to question one. So energy, mood, daily life. Daily life, like I said, have the energy. The energy is there. There's definitely less pain. Now, because I am a type 1 diabetic and I use an insulin pump to give me insulin. So, but this is a disclaimer for anyone taking a GLP-1 and GIP. I do recommend that you carry, like, hey, Vanessa, that you carry some. I'll post. Hey, Dahomey, I'll post on my page some what they called glucose gels or glucose tablets, because if you are someone that has suffered from insulin resistance, or you're type 2 diabetic, things like that, or if you're type 1 and you're on these medications can create a scenario where you have low blood sugar, because let's say, because it does suppress your appetite, so you're not going to be eating as much as you were. It is a medication where they highlight that you prioritize protein, fiber, reduce the amount of carbs you take, reduce the amount of fats that you, so like cheeses and different things like that. And we'll hopefully, if we have time today, I'll talk about sort of that combo of carbs, fat, and protein. Someone remind me, and I'll try to kind of talk about that. But because you are going to be reducing the portion size you're eating, but you may experience all this new energy. Basically, less food, more energy equals low blood sugar, or can equal low blood sugar. So you're going to have to be mindful of making sure you're watching out for those things. Okay, let me so how it affected my daily life is that I just have to be more mindful of how much energy, because I can spend like the entire day outside and not eat anything, and then feel a little woozy. So I have to be mindful of that, right? Let's see, I do experience some fatigue for a day or two after my injection, but nothing interferes with my life. So this is a good point. So fatigue is something that people have experienced as a result of that. There are some people who take this at night, because if they're going to be, or they take it, before going to bed, because if they're going to be tired, they might as well be tired at night. Some of the other, and this is when we get into the fun stuff and why I love poop emojis. You can experience some digestive things. So this is why water is important. This is why, yeah, water is very important in this whole process, because constipation is real. Because you're slowing down, because these medications slow down the digestive process. Food stays in your body. The food you are eating stays in your body longer, right? Because the slowing down of the breaking down of food, it stays in your body longer. So that can create a constipative, is that a word? Constipative state in your lower intestine. So water is important. If I didn't say it, water is important. Some of friends in the room, feel free to share what y'all take. And again, I'm going to make sure my friend is connected to all the channels so they can hear from everybody. Again, hashtag chickens if you want to drop your channel in here. Hashtag chickens if you want to drop your channel. So what I have done to support or to help with the constipation is I don't have it as much on my current dosage, 7.5 of Zepbound. But when I first started, I would take Miralax I would do a day worth of Miralax, and I would do that on day 1 and day 5 or 6. I would do Miralax. I know there's some people who do Miralax every day. I don't do that every day, but I do it. I take Miralax on day 1 and typically day 5 or 7 of the injection, and then I do a stool softener every night too, to just help with it. So Okay, so new people came into the room. Miss TT, good to see you. So that's what I would say is kind of the biggest impact on my life is I have gained more energy. I have personally not struggled with the fatigue, but fatigue is a reality that many people have gone through, and so again, they just take the shot before bed sometimes, just or they take it on the weekend, so that doesn't impact their day to day. And then the constipation is a big one that people talk about. Do consider what other medical things are going on because sometimes we concern ourselves that, well, is it the shot that's causing these, but it could be other medications you're taking or the combination of two. So make sure you're working with your physician to kind of understand the contraindications of taking this with other medications and what can happen. Yeah. But it's yeah, it's been good. It's been good so far. That's cross fingers, right, that it stays that way. And there was something recently in the news about what Wegovy, and I think it was just yesterday that they said like basically people who get off this hopefully this is a good thing. People who get off of this medication, basically all these things start coming back. So hopefully that's a win for people staying on it. Okay, so let's go. Let's see. Constipation is real. I watch my fiber. Yeah, fiber is a big thing. So big changes in. And because let me jump to this question because this is a question I know this person has. So let's go ahead and ask this question real quick because it's headed in that direction anyway. So question 2 is. Let me type it first. And again, feel free to share. Question 2, what does a normal day of eating look like for you? So the priority. If you have in your medical plan, like you can do a teledoc where you can talk to a nutritionist or your whoever is prescribing the med if they have a nutritionist on site, work with them. Here, let me jump to this before I move on to this question. So Kim K says she takes Miralax daily, had constipation issues before Zepbound, so new. Okay, perfect. So again, knowing sort of how your system, and y'all never knew y'all get to talk about constipation at 5 p.m. in the afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Anyway, it's fun. It's fun to talk about poop. Anyway, so um understand what medications, like the impact of medications you were taking before this and the impact of conditions before this, because if you have those things now, taking this can impact. So kind of prepare. So Miralax is a good thing. Stool softeners are a good thing. I know there's some people who take magnesium, but there's a specific kind of magnesium. And so, so if there's anyone, I'm going to drink water because this is important, drinking water. Yeah. Also with constipation, high motivated. Also with constipation, please make sure you're eating enough food. You can't, yes, this is true. You can't poo if there's nothing to eat. Make sure you are eating. You have to eat. You have to eat. You have to eat. Okay. So yeah, so that's, and again, I can make I'll make sure you have kind of a nice little summary of some of this information because there's a lot of information for one live. So where did my question go? Question 2, what does a normal day of eating look like? So prioritize. And again, anything that is said here, work with a nutritionist, either with your doctor's office or try to find if your insurance or someone in the community has like a where you can get nutritional advice. I highly recommend let them know you're on a GLP-1 and what are some of the best recommendations, because my experience, again, I'm a 30 plus year type 1 diabetic who's actively on insulin. Many people in the room have their own medical history and medical issues. What works for us may not work for the same person. All we can do is offer what we do, and hopefully that will support. And thank you, Darian, for writing that down. Hi, Ro, good to see you. And so ultimately with what I eat in a day. So I'd usually do a smoothie in the morning. That smoothie probably has the bulk. Well, I would say it'll have half, if not more, of what my protein needs are. So I'll do a smoothie. It's pretty basic. It will be a glucerna, which has a chocolate glucerna, which has I think 10 grams of protein. I'll add a Premier Protein powder, which has 30, so I'm at 40 grams of protein at this point. And then I'll add chia seeds, flaxseed, and chia seed, flaxseed, and some sort of berry, because berries have a lot of fiber. So I get the bulk of my protein and my fiber in my smoothie in the morning. That usually carries me through lunch, which again, my GLP souped up spouse, he eats on a schedule. So 12 o'clock is when lunch is. 6:30 is when dinner is. That's someone who has natural GLPs. They have a clock on when they eat. Anyway, um, that's one of the signs, right? But anyway, so usually for lunch, it's going to be, y'all shared my meals, on here. It's going to be something that's sort of protein heavy. It'll have fiber. We throw beans and as many things as possible. We as greens as many things as possible. But I still eat pasta. Like I said, we did spaghetti this week. It was whole wheat spaghetti. I had ground turkey, whole wheat spaghetti. I threw some peas in there for some fiber. And then dinner was a pork. I still do pork chops, but it was grilled pork chop. And we didn't add salt to it, right? Pork, yes, it's not the healthiest meat in the world, but that has a lot to do with what we add to pork, right? And if you do sort of the lean portion of pork, you're fine. There are lean portions of pork. Again, talk to your doctor. Make sure these are things you can eat, right? Your fish, shrimp, things like that's going to have a lot of protein in it. If you like those things. Some occasionally we'll do beef. We don't do beef as much as we do chicken and ground turkey, or sorry, chicken and turkey are kind of our primary meats, if anything. Fish, and then, like I said, we'll do pork and things like that. So, but I do lots of green veggies. I don't shy away from fruit. There are some people, again, if you have, especially if you are someone who's had diabetes, you do have to be mindful of your carbohydrates, right? And so you just have to kind of watch your body to see if you're having elevated blood sugars, if that's something you suffer with, right? Okay, so let's see. Miss Nikki, constipation is no joke. Excuse me, I'm a truck driver. Yeah, you've got to be very, very mindful. When I start a new dose, I have no appetite. Yeah, that's the same thing. Usually, when I start a new dose, the first day is kind of tough. And I know I'm going to miss Amy, so if y'all head over to Amy Loses It, let her know that I will be in there eventually. So that's kind of what my meals look like in a day. I try to share as much as possible to make sure you're connecting with some of the other people in the room, to ensure, because a lot of people do a variety of different meals. There's some people who they primarily do smoothies throughout the day. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I also do the Core Power. It has 42 grams of protein. Sometimes that's all I am in the mood for. I'll do a Core Power and an orange for breakfast, and that will be kind of my breakfast. And then, like I said, we'll eat dinner. I tend to cook. I tend to cook lunch and dinner for the week, just because I don't want to. The less I think about food, like preparing it, the more I do better, because then I'm managing my calories and how much calories I need to take. You can download a free version of MyFitnessPal to help track your calories and things like that. And then, there are some things to help with tracking of calories. Hi, Shawnee. Okay. So let me get to, so hopefully that helped answer a little bit of sort of what I eat in a typical day. And then, so let's go down here. So how fast did you increase doses? And so I'll walk through this question here real quick. So how fast did you increase doses? So I increased. How fast did you increase doses, and did you ever slow down? So there is a recommendation that everyone they start at. So let me do this real quick, because this person's going to be on Wegovy, and let me get the doses for Wegovy. And I believe it still has the same titration schedule, but let me confirm that. I don't want to say anything incorrect here. So with Wegovy, the doses for, nope, don't want that. So the titration schedule as Wegovy suggested is 1 to 4 weeks. So 4 weeks at 0.25. Then basically 5 to 8, and then there's a titration at each dose every 4 weeks. However, a lot of that guidance has since changed a little bit, and it's ultimately you working with your medical team to determine when you need to try titrate next. So if the doses that you currently are at is working for you, stay at that dose until you feel, things like the food noise or not feeling so satisfied after a meal, things like that is no longer present and you need to titrate up. Again, this is going to be probably one of the closest relationship you have with your medical team, because even though there is a titration schedule of this every 4 weeks, what they have since learned since these medications come out is that it's better to allow the person to sort of manage their titration based on their need, and not so much because this document said you must do this, right? Let me go back to the chat real quick because I want to make sure I didn't miss anything that's being said. Say hi, Peppy. We're doing a quick talk on. Hey, Auntie Mama, you're still here. We're doing a quick talk on GLP-1s and Zepbound and Wegovy specifically. Got to drop off. Oh, understand. Thank you for coming, Evelyn. And like I said, I'll make sure they're connected to you and everything. Okay. And then also Miss Nikki is a good supporter, and she can definitely give some additional information. So let me try to screen share. Hopefully this won't change the world too much. I'm going to screen share real quick. Let me make sure I'm looking. I'm going to look at the chat real quick because it takes about 10 seconds for this to show up. So it just takes a few seconds for this to pop up. Here, hold on real quick. Okay. See if y'all can see it. Okay, y'all see it. Okay. So this is basically kind of the schedule. I like Excel spreadsheets. I'm a little crazy like this. If you don't have something or want something like this, I'm happy to share it. Okay. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So this is when I started. And so I did do the initial 4-week titration here. And then I did, again, this is Zepbound, but Wegovy has a similar, kind of reminder. Wegovy has 4 levels. Is it 4? Let's see, 1. Nope. Wegovy has more than that. Wegovy has 5 levels of titration. It goes from 0.25, 0.5, 1 milligram, 1.7, and then 2.4. And so you will work with your medical team to determine, other than that first 4 weeks, you'll work with your medical team determine when you need to go up, right? And so what mine reflected, so for example, so yes, I did the 4 weeks. When I did Zepbound, I did the 4 weeks at 2.5, the starting dose. But then I was at, and I always have to do this because I can't always do quick math in my head. So I was on 5.0. Is that going to change? I think for like 17 weeks, I believe. Yeah, 17 weeks. I was at 5.0 for 17 weeks. It was working for me. Didn't feel the need to change. Right around this time, a couple of things. I had started wanting to snack more after 9 p.m. Like I had eaten dinner, I was fine. And for a couple of days in a row, I was just snacking, like after 9 o'clock for no reason other than I want to, or I saw my husband snack on something. It's like, oh, I want that too. Like I wasn't thinking about, I was thinking about when my next snack was, and not, so in my brain, this need for food for no reason had come back. So that's what people call food noise. And so that's what ended up telling me, it's like, yep, time to titrate up. So since December 10th, I have been on 7.5. Again, this is specifically for Zepbound dosages, not Wegovy. So since December 10th, I've been on, oh, it's been, wow, I didn't even think about that. That's been about the same amount of time. Close to that same amount of time. So since December 10th, I've been on 7.5 since that time. And so what I look out for to determine if I need to titrate up is that example. So am I finding myself snacking mindlessly? are, it's not even because I crave things even when my appetite is heavily suppressed. There's times that I still want, it's like I want chicharrones, I want some pickles. That's because I just want it. But wanting something and where I'm just getting up at 11 o'clock at night and snacking on food and not thinking about it, that's a little bit different, right? It's that not being intentional about the food that is entering my mouth. And that's kind of what tells me I need to titrate up. Any thoughts, questions, concerns? Hey Stash, good to see you, sir. Any questions, thoughts, and concerns about what's shared here? Hey, Dark Symphony, good to see you. Glad y'all can make it. So yeah, so that was, and I said hi to Peppy. I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone in the chat. Nope, we're good. So let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Any thoughts, questions, or concerns? So one of the things that I do, this is my personal, again, I tend to, because I've lost a good amount of weight before. I did Weight Watchers back in 2012. I lost 100 pounds between 2012 and 2013. I lost a little bit over 100 pounds doing Weight Watchers. What I learned in that reality is your body settles into a pattern. You'll have certain losses, how your body loses settles into a certain pattern, but you don't know that until you've gone through the journey, right? So I've been through this journey, so I knew I wanted to kind of see kind of the pattern that shows up. I'm just a pattern person. I'm weird like that. I like seeing patterns. And so, but what I also discovered, so I don't obsess over or do the comparison, because you can get, we compare. I struggle with comparing, other YouTube channels half the time, and half the time y'all have to hear them about it. So we all struggle with comparison to some level, right? And so in this journey of weight loss, it's one of the strongest places where we find ourselves needing to compare. But again, and everyone can share all the phrases. Everybody's different and every body is different. That's from Mayor Mindy. I like to say the phrase. I like to say, hey, if you're gonna compare, if you want my journey, you got to take. If you want my wins, you got to take the losses. So if you want to be a type 1 diabetic for over 30 years, then have at it. But, because you got to take, if you want the good, you also got to take the not so good. And so it's best just not to compare. What helps me not to compare is I base my successes and my milestones on percentages. So I tend to look at the percentage loss. So my milestone goals, let me see if this will change to this. Bear with it real quick. Okay, so I like 5% goals. So when I was at 288, I set my 5% goal 274. And hopefully pay attention to the right side column as I go down this list. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Pay attention to this right side column. So started at 288.4. 5% of that is 14 pounds, so 274. When I hit 273, hey, I got my 15 pounds. Oh, sorry, I got my 5 pounds, right? My first 5 pound I was at 273. So 5% of that is 259. 5%, so I hit 257. So 5% of that, 244, et cetera, et cetera. Notice when you so no matter what, I am hitting 5% goals, regardless of the pounds. And notice something that happens. And this is why you cannot compare your journey. You can't even compare the last 5% that you lose with the prior 5%. Sorry, you can't even compare the current 5% with the last 5% you lost, because 5% of a total number is going to be different as the number lowers. So this whole thing of like, oh, I've got to lose 10 pounds this month. I've got to lose 10 pounds this month because I lost 10 pounds last month. Stop it. Stop it. Because ultimately, as you lose excess weight on your body, the percentage in which you need to lose is less. So by the time I get down to whatever my made up goal weight is, 5%. So let's say when I get down to 183, 5% of 183 is, you see the drop in pounds. So this is why you can't even compare yourself to the last amount of weight you lost. Because at 288, 5% was 14 pounds. At 174, 5% is only 9 pounds. So you can't get mad at yourself because you just lost 9 pounds in however many days. That's how much you ought to lose if you're, again, focused on a percentage. So anyway, sorry I got excited about that. So I tend to focus on percentage loss as my milestones because it doesn't get me caught up in the game of I've got to lose X by a certain date. Nope, I just need to lose 5% of my body weight at some point in this journey. And I rest easy at night. I just need to lose 5%, whatever that looks like at any stage of this race. So that's what I set for my milestones. Sorry, I got excited. Again, y'all can always throw, hey, YouTube police, I haven't seen you. Oh my goodness. Good to see you. So, yeah, and I do mark it when I hit that 5% on here. And every week's different. Like I said, I've had gains, I've had stalls. Like, there's a stall. Here, hold on. Let's see. So there's a gain that I had. There's a stall. That was around that was that November time frame. And that's not even a stall. That's just, I wouldn't even call that a stall. That's a net loss. That's a net win, net loss, right? Net win, net loss. And then I should not have even said that that was a stall. And then I had a gain, like I said, I had a gain in week 35. So I hope my numbers are right. I think, yeah, they should be right. Or my weeks are right. Yeah, so that's kind of been my journey. That's ultimately my journey since July 16th. Um, Going back to sort of what that original question was about, you know, how fast did I increase doses? That's about how fast I did I did the original 4 weeks, and then everything else has been, I was on the next dose for 17 weeks, and I've been on this current dose for about 15. And I don't know if I'll titrate up. I have 3 boxes of 7.5, so hopefully I don't titrate up too soon. So, but I'm a big fan of, and why do I pick 5%? So 5% is related to a lot of different medical wins, if you will. So a few things, health. So I'll say health improvement with 5% weight loss. So a few things that happen at 5%. You losing 5% of your current body weight reduces blood pressure, improves cholesterol levels, lowers the risk of diabetes, reduces inflammation. We talked about that. Better energy and sleep. So that's ultimately the wins that you get when it's based on 5% losses. So that's why I picked 5%. You can pick any percentage to focus on if you want to do that. Yeah, Zepbound, wegovy, any of them, whichever one. Yes, is this the GLP-1 like Ozempic? Yes, sir. Yeah, YouTube police. It's I did that. Talked a little bit about it at the beginning. Let me get that definition again. But ultimately, we're talking. I'm on Zepbound, but a good friend is starting on wegovy. So we talked a little bit about that, and then just my journey in general. Yes, 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 yes. And so semaglutide, which is Wegovy and Ozempic, is a GLP. It just has one of the peptides, so it's a GLP-1. Wegovy. So semaglutide brand names are Wegovy, Ozempic. One's for Ozempic is for type 2 diabetes. Wegovy's for the weight loss branding of it, because these companies have to sell it twice to make more money, right? And then tirzepatide is Mounjaro for type 2, and then Zepbound for weight loss. Yes, sir. Perfect. Oh, of course, of course. And then basically, Zepbound has a GLP-1 and a GIP. No matter how much pharmaceutical benefits managers want to tell you that it's the same drug, they are not the same drug, but they are both very effective. Very, very effective, both of them. Okay, so let me kind of, because we're a little bit over an hour, but let me do the final questions. And for those of you in the chat, I definitely want to hear from y'all on this question who are on these medications. I definitely want to hear from y'all on this. So this is question 4. Okay, what do you wish you knew before starting? So I'm familiar to some degree with this stuff, but okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So what do you wish? So question 4, what do you wish you knew before starting this medication? And again, those of you who are on this, feel free to answer in the chat. What do I wish? I do playlists. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. That's a good question. What do I wish before I knew? Um, because I feel like, because I will say, I think this is always a catch-22 question, because I was first offered this medication in August of 2022, and I turned it down because of the rumors about the side effects of it, the gastric side effects. And I just didn't want to deal with, like I said, I'm managing type 1 diabetes. I just didn't want to deal with gastric side effects. Because as a type 1 diabetic, you don't, that's one of the complications is gastric side effects, and I didn't want to bring it on, right? So if I would have say my August 22 self, I probably would have said, I wish that person, hey, Unique, I wish I had researched better. But then to ask me in July of 2025 what I wish I knew before taking it, I wish I knew the crazy ride it was going to take me, because that's what started me on YouTube. That what started me to go beyond, to actually interact. Like prior to YouTube, I never interacted in chats on YouTube. Never interacted. I just would go learn about a thing. I didn't ever. I don't think I'd ever dropped a like on any video because I didn't want it in my history and all this other stuff. I approach YouTube as, let me go get information and run away and leave. Right. Um, and so speaking of the devil, Tammy just came in. Hey, Tammy. And so I just didn't want to deal with, that's how I interact with YouTube. What I would say is the GLP-1 community is what brought me out of the shadows, if you will, to actually engage in the chat. And then of course that engagement is in the chat is what led to getting a YouTube channel so I could share more of my journey. And then now my channel has become what my channel is. I'm connected to different communities. I did not, again, if the only thing I wish I knew before starting this medication is the road that it would lead me down. Yeah. I'm playing Fortnite, people. I have a beautiful community of gardeners and fishing people and cooking people and motivational people and content creators who are brilliant. And I did not know it would lead me to a road of intellectual stimulation in which I get every time I'm in a chat. I did not know that. I know that doesn't answer the question, and it's so hopefully if there's people on GLP-1 that can answer that question from a medical standpoint, that would be great. Yeah, strength training, I saw that in there. I wish I knew the injections are not as scary as I thought. Yeah, as a type 1, unfortunately, needles have been a part of my life for forever. What we had to do was when I had to learn how to, so I could not, so speaking of needles, so when I was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I was at the hospital, things like that. I could not leave until I injected myself. So I had to practice on an orange first, which these drugs are too expensive. I do not recommend that you practice your first injection of these drugs on an orange because that's wasted medicine. But it's subcutaneous. It's not super painful. Follow the recommendations as far as where to do the shot at, and you'll be good to go. Activity is important. Strength training is, I would say this, start strength training as early as possible. It'll help along the journey. Just 2 or 3 times a week is what I would recommend. I mean, don't go crazy, but try it and everything, but don't go nuts. Hey, J3, good to see you. Sorry if I missed you earlier coming in. Oh, okay. So Kim K, you remind me of the greasy food. So yeah, if you are someone who enjoys greasy food, I would try to slow down ahead of time, is what I would say. Try to kind of, hey, Foraging, good to see you. Try to sort of limit the amount of greasy food you're getting. The other combination that you want to be mindful of, as much as I love things like pizza and all that stuff, anytime you have the combination of carbs, a fat, cheese, um, a protein, that is going to slow your I have a video when I ate I had made too thick of a crust of pizza instead of a thin crust pizza, and that combination of the thicker cut or the thicker carb along with the cheese on the pizza and the fat from the protein and just protein in and of itself. Anytime typically we call those combination foods. Pizza's a big one. um Sometimes you could classify like tacos and burritos in that if you wanted to. Just know that you're already taking a medication that slows down digestion, and anytime you have a combination of heavy carbs, fat, and protein, fat slows down digestion. Fat isn't bad because it's fat. Fat just slows down digestion. It does obviously clog some arteries occasionally, but so that with that fat slowing down digestion, it takes longer for those carbs to break down, to become energy, and to do the work that it needs to do. When that energy is stalled in your body, it gets stored up, and it becomes stored up energy becomes that fat. Stored up energy also becomes energy not going to your cells, and then we start the rotation of insulin resistance. Right? Hey, Detroit, good to see you. Hey, Red Devil, good to see you. So, all those things are happening in our bodies. Food is crazy. Food is crazy. But these GLP-1s, GIPs create an environment. So it's not the drug in and of itself that causes weight loss. And that's probably the biggest thing that I would want to share with you, to answer this question of what you wish you knew before this. These The GLP-1s and the GIPs are not what is creating the weight loss. What these medications do is that it increases appetite suppression. So you're not thinking about food all the time. It increases satiety. So when you eat and you prioritize protein and, good veggies, limit some carbs here and there. When you do eat, and it makes you feel fuller sooner. So therefore, you're not necessarily finishing a whole plate of food and all this other stuff, right? So not only are you not thinking about food, you're also satisfied sooner with the food you are eating. And then again, it slows down that digestion a little bit to allow insulin, if you're still someone who produces insulin, to then allow your body to break down the carbs, break down the food, and then allow that insulin to then do the thing it needs to do, carry that stored food, that stored energy into your cells, and then your cells function appropriately. And then again, it's this happy harmony that begins to happen in your body around the metabolic system. And so energy is restored, you can lower some inflammation here and there. So it creates an environment in which weight loss can happen if you are, again, staying hydrated, getting the proper amount of sleep. You are active. You're doing your strength training, and then you're doing your portion control. So that's a GLP-1 wrapped up in however long I've been on here. My version of a GLP-1 and how it's impacted my life. And there are many other creators that share it too. With kidney damage, I have terrible leg pains, and I feel like a buildup of uric acid. Exercise make it better, but at night don't feel like. Yeah, and so I'm glad you brought up the kidney damage thing. So that will be the one thing. If you are someone that has some kidney disease or damage, you do have to be mindful of. You do need to be mindful about how much water take. You've got to work with the biggest thing. Work with your medical team. I've always had a pretty good relationship with my medical team as a type 1 diabetic. I'm seeing somebody every 3 months, if not every month. I'm seeing somebody. So it's very easy for me to talk with my doctor about what's going on in my body. You will begin to understand your body. Give your body grace. A couple of people have talked about this recently, and it's something I say all the time. Your body got you here. Your mind, your soul, your body carried you to, as frustrated as we get with our bodies and where we feel, um, and we may regret decisions about the impact of things that we did in our lives to our bodies, but it's important to know that your body got you to today, right? It has struggled with you and it has carried you, but what is important to know is that you can start any day to recover, and the body is resilient. We are beautiful, whether you're someone who has a faith journey, believes in whatever practice you believe in. At the end of the day, our bodies are beautiful machines. We're a giant chemistry set. We're beautiful machines. You will begin to be in tune with your body like you haven't ever been before, and embrace it, enjoy it. Note side effects. Note, talk to people. Come to these channels that you've connected with and talk about the symptoms you're having, talk about the side effects you're having, and ask curious questions. Always be curious and learn new things. Don't try everything. People will throw out some things and say, try this, try that. Less is more. I will say this in my journey, less is more. We can talk to my friend out there who asked these questions. We can talk more about what I mean by that. But s- I've taken the simple path on this journey of drink water, work out, get sleep, exercise, have fun, embrace it. Yeah. But I think that's a good wrap up. I gave my chicken update. I'm not giving away any roosters. They're just going to stay with me, and I'm going to have a headache. But I love them, and I just can't give them and not know what their journey is. So I'm keeping all my roosters. Gardening, we'll probably do some gardening things this weekend. We will go, the goal is to do the tomatoes. My husband has a weird schedule, so I don't know how tired he'll be, but the goal is to plant the tomatoes this weekend. So we'll go live if we do. And then I am live Sunday with yoga at yoga with Goga. It's already posted on my channel. I am live on Sunday with him. I'm really excited about this interview, so I really do hope that y'all are able to come. The wife is gone. You're so funny. But it is, like I said, it's already scheduled on my channel. It starts at 12 Eastern time. I'm very excited about that. And then I'm so close to planning my vacation soon, and I'm not going to say anything about where I'm going just yet, but I'm very excited about where I'm going, and so and maybe there'll be a chance to meet some fellow YouTubers. So I'm pretty excited about where I'm going, but I'm not going to say anything just yet. I may not even say anything. I'm weird about travel. I usually don't say when I'm traveling. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up because I'm just babbling. And so have a wonderful evening. I'm gonna head over to let me do a redirect. Let me see if she has this set up. I'm gonna try to do a redirect. Amy loses it. Let's try to go to her channel real quick. Let's see if I can redirect. People have to set that. Maybe the next thing that I do is set up how to redirect, because not a lot of people have this set up that people can go to channels. People have not set this up, and people should set this up. But if you're in a live, people can redirect you to another person's channel. So she does not have this set up yet, but so let me go get her channel link real quick. Bear with me, and we can go over to her page. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all letting me go nuts about diabetes and stuff like that. Y'all stuck with me. I should probably one day do like a actual class on diabetes, but it can't. I'm going to put this link in the chat. Unfortunately, I can't redirect y'all, but I do encourage y'all to go over to Amy's channel and I'll put the handle too, just in case some of y'all are on your phone, at Amy Loses It. And she can, for those of you still curious about GLP-1s, she will have more information. Okay. And she has a great channel. I love her channel. It's better than mine when it comes to this here. We need to hear it at work. I work at a dialysis center. Okay, that's right, Unique. And I was going to connect with you on that too. So at Amy Loses It, feel free, please try to head over to her channel if you're able to. She's a really wonderful human being. I love her very much. And so y'all have a wonderful evening. I will see all of you in a live somewhere tonight if you're going live. I'll pop in, do a like, and chit chat with you. So have a great evening. We'll talk later. Bye bye. And head over to Amy's if you can. Bye bye.